Bills back at practice today over at St. John Fisher. Cole Bishop down today with a quad injury, while Alec Anderson, he is week to week after having a minor knee operation. Tyrell Shavers, Dawson Knox, and Elijah Moore, however, all were able to return to practice. And we'll get more on today. Sal Capaccio will join the show at 4 p.m. And Sal also has a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. Coverage of Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys. By Outlet Liquor, when you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys, and driven by your Upstate Honda dealers. For great deals on the entire Honda lineup, visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. Preseason football does start tonight. It is the Hall of Fame game between the Chargers and the Lions in Canton, Ohio. It's going to get underway just after 8 o'clock. Trey Lance gets the start at quarterback for the Chargers, while for the Lions, not official, but all signs appear it will be Kyle Allen who gets the start at QB. Sabres announced today they have signed goaltender Devin Levi to a 2-year deal worth just over $812,000. And then the MLB trade deadline is this afternoon at 6 p.m. Big moves have been made involving pitchers today. Blue Jays got involved early. They acquire former Cy Young winner Shane Bieber from Cleveland. The Padres made a splash. They also add arms to the pitching staff, J.P. Sears and Mason Miller from the A's. And then the Yankees, it seems to be official now, but currently multiple reports have them going to get David Bednar from Pittsburgh. And then the Bison, they're in action tonight hosting Syracuse just after 6:30. That game can be heard on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Raisin Bran. You got to put Raisin Bran up there. Everybody knows it.
It's Mike Schopp.
Listen, get your own stupid old dying person team and choose your own cereals.
And the Bulldog.
I shall unleash my fury upon you like the crashing of 1,000 waves.
That cereal is soggy. You reach into the fridge for the milk and open the lid on the milk to pour it in there, and that crap is already soggy.
I am untethered and my rage knows no bounds.
That's a problem. That's a problem for a cereal. I
Huge
think.
problem.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog on WGR Sports Radio 550.
Still no lies detected. Just being honest. I'm biased. It's my hill to die on. How's everybody doing on a cool, kind of rainy summer day? What's going on? It's okay though. We needed the rain. We needed the rain. Who has anyone under the age of 40 years old ever said we needed the rain?
Oh, I'm there. My lawn needs the rain. Yeah.
Really?
The lawn needs the rain.
You care about your lawn.
I mow the lawn, so I'm like, it's got to look pretty after I do it, and it's going to look kind of not good like when it's...
But if you mow the lawn and you don't have to mow it, isn't that a win, kind of?
It is a win, but also, I drive home, I look at it, I'm like, we need some rain here.
Wow. Right at inception here, you're blowing me up. I aside from, farmers... some of whom could be under 40, and golf course superintendents, like professional landscapers. I think the average person working like the regular 9-to-5 type job, you don't get to we needed the rain until you're 40. I don't think. I don't know. I could be wrong.
It's probably right.
It sounds like although you're 26,
27.
27.
I'm getting up there.
Boy, the years are flying by here.
I know. I know.
I don't feel like that's a thing that young people say.
It's not.
Okay.
It's definitely not.
We needed the rain. I don't know.
I woke up this morning and I'm like, there we go, baby. There we go.
This might be an indication of me having sort of, I don't know, given up. I still take care of the yard, but when we first moved in the house, every year, whatever grass the dog had killed in the preceding, months, I would sort of dig up, reseed and water and really work at it. And that's gone. That is just over. And I have graduated to I don't even know. We needed the rain. I'm not one who looks at my yard and goes, "Thank God we needed the rain."
Yeah.
And I'm just going, I don't have to cut it. It's fine. There's some ugly weeds growing there, but the grass isn't growing. It's brown.
You're making it. You're making it.
I'm not mowing anything.
Yes, you graduated to "we need the rain?" question mark.
Yeah,
I meant "we need the rain!"
like,
exclamation point.
Yeah. Okay. See. Yeah. Very subtle. That's punctuation for you. I mean, these things are meaningful. Yeah. I don't know. We needed the rain. What are some other examples of things only old people say? I've recently discovered here, I'll answer my own question quickly. This has been a relatively new development. I think I've mentioned it a couple of times in passing on the show. I take golf seriously enough now that I'm keeping score. I have a handicap. I register each round with the USGA handicap app. So, I'm tracking how I'm doing, and I noticed a trend that has developed over the last couple of years where when I play on a weekday, like a Tuesday morning or a Thursday morning, which I pretty regularly do, I score better. I don't really drink beer at all on weekdays. Like if we have if there's an event or something, I'm going out, maybe, but like it's not a regular thing. I go home from work, make dinner, watch a ball game, and go to bed. That's it. And there's no beer really in between there. I don't even really like keeping beer in the house anymore because I'd rather not be tempted by it because I really still do like it a lot. But so I play on a Tuesday or Thursday, and I'm shooting the best rounds I've ever played have been midweek rounds, like 71, 74 at Delaware. Okay, it's not the hardest place ever, to say the least. Right? It's forgiving, I think, is what I want here. But on Saturday mornings, we regularly play. Although this July I haven't played once there on a Saturday morning. But usually we'll play on Saturday morning. Jeremy and my son and my friend John Gale from Canada, and I like, the weekend, Friday, we get out of work, like, go to the bar, have a couple, 2, 3 beers. I feel that on Saturday morning when I'm playing golf. And I don't score. I very rarely score as well on the weekends as I do during the week. And it's not like, it's not like I'm out doing keg stands or something on Friday night. It's really just a few beers. So subtly couple turned into few. Anyway, So now I am like, I better not have any beers. I'm playing golf in the morning. Like, that is not something that 20-year-old me or even 30, 40-year-old me would have ever thought.
Yeah, no.
I used to subscribe to, like, I'm so terrible at golf, I'm looser and more relaxed if I've been out the night before. That is completely a foreign concept to me now.
I do love that for you, yeah, where you take it seriously enough where you're like, guys, the round's tomorrow. It's 7 a.m.
Got to take it easy.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not there at all. No.
So much so that we played on the 4th of July. Owen and myself played a match against Jeremy and Joe from the morning show. And Jeremy is, to me, easily the best golfer amongst the four of us. He, in fact, I think they talked about this on the show, so I don't think I'm telling tales out of school. Last weekend, he played in a member guest at Transit Valley Country Club, Jeremy did, and shot 37 on the back 9, and they won the tournament.
It's big time.
He and his partner, like, that is, like, I'm proud if I shoot 37 at Delaware. Like, 37 at Transit Valley Country Club. Like, holy cow, right? But we played on the 4th of July, and Jeremy even asked me, he had maybe a cousin visiting from out of town. Hey, you want to, come out here? We're meeting on Hurdle at our usual spot. You want to come have a few? And I went home beforehand intending to go and thought, you know what? I'm not going to do that. And my son and we beat Jeremy and Joe. And Jer was, I don't put him in a... He had some beers on Friday night. I'll put it that way. Like, I don't. So he was kind of sloppy, and his attention to detail wasn't great, and we beat him. In fact, he texted me and Owen after this round. I think it was Friday night or maybe Saturday, whatever day it was, that they won this tournament. He's like, I just shot a 37 on the back 9, and we won the member guest at Trans Valley Country Club. I'm like, yet somehow you lost to us.
That's the beauty of golf, though, also. Right there.
How did that?
That's gorgeous.
But anyway, all right, enough old people. We needed the rain. Mike is away and is going to be away for the rest of this week and then even all of next week. So we're going to stretch out here. I'll have some co-host opportunities coming up, including Sal tomorrow for a couple of hours, and then one day next week Sal will be in, and Nate Geary will be in for a few days as well. But some of just me and Zach hanging out with y'all, and that is going to be the case today. Sal will stop by, I'm told, in studio for a visit with me at 4 o'clock, and our old buddy Matthew Collar, now of the Purple Insider in Minneapolis, covering the Vikings, will be my guest at 5. I know, go figure. I was tweeting about the Bills receiving corps. I'm not choosing violence. Okay, I mean, it's my first day alone in a while. I wanted to sort of settle in. I don't want Brandon Beane to call and yell at me. I mean, it would be great if he called, but, whatever. I'm not looking for a fight, right? This is not the Bills need more receivers point. It's more from a point of optimism. My thought today, and I tweeted this, I put a poll out, if you were going to bet real American cash dollars on all receiver aside from Khalil Shakir elevating this year, and I went, I think, pretty modest numbers, elevating to 60 receptions and somewhere between 6 and 10 touchdowns, who would you bet on? Did I already say receivers? Because it's really pass catchers. I want to include Kincaid here for sure. I mean, I even went and looked at Knox's career averages just to round it all out, but I would never bet on Knox to be the guy that suddenly that happens to. I think Kincaid's a real contender for this idea. But who amongst the receiving corps would you bet on becoming, Shakir's 1B if Shakir's 1A, or even elevating past what Shakir has done? That might be asking a lot. Shakir had 76 catches last year, only 4 touchdowns, but by far their leading pass catcher. Kincaid was second on the team with 44, only played 13 games. Shakir played 15. I mean, he sat out the finale, I think, but missed a game in there too. But anyway, I went and looked at the career averages for everyone. It was really easy for Coleman because he's only played the one season. But I put this poll up, around lunchtime, I think. And what usually happens when you put a poll like that, or really any kind of poll up, is you get a couple hundred votes, and however it's going after a couple hundred votes usually ends up being what it ends up. It's pretty indicative of what the result is going to be. And now I haven't looked in a half hour, 20 minutes now, so I should check on this to make sure. But when I put the poll up, it was like the choices. I only included Kincaid, Coleman, and Palmer as your options on the poll, and other comment, please, right? There's not room to do the whole receiving corps and all the tight ends and everything. So I thought I'd choose the 3 that I would think most Bills fans are most bullish about. I mean, there's probably some Elijah Moore super fans out there that think maybe he can do it, or someone who really loves Curtis Samuel, who's, had, a decent career in the league, but even his career averages are not even at that level that I'm describing. And so the poll, one thing at a time, the poll initially started out, it was like 33, 33, 33. Like it was just like a dead heat between all 3 choices. And then like an hour or 2 went by, and Coleman sort of elevated beyond the other 2. And then Palmer got a late push. But Kincaid is 3rd. Coleman's got 40% of the votes. Palmer 34. Kincaid 23 at this point, with 850 so votes tallied. 1.9% are saying other, and I've got a few replies here for Elijah Moore. If you want to play along, obviously lines are open. It's just me and Zach hanging out. So we're always certainly more open. I mean, we're always open to taking phone calls if they're there, but even more so on a day when one or the other of us is on vacation like Mike is now. So the phone number is 803-0550 if you want to get in on this or just play along on social media. That's fine. But if you were placing a bet on which Bills pass catcher other than Shakir will break through to say 60 catches and between 6 and 10 touchdowns, who would you throw your money on? I would tell you for me, and I'll get you all everybody's career averages, including 3 guys who weren't included in the poll because, again, there wasn't room. I would put my money on Coleman myself. And because I think we've got such a small sample size here with him. It's just the 1 year, and he missed time, and I feel like the potential for him to take a step is really there. I think whatever concerns there are about him, his ability to separate and whatever else you might not love about him as a prospect coming into the draft and being on the Bills now, going into a second season, I still think there is a skill set there that can elevate. I think his size, I think his athleticism, I think there's a player in there that I think can get off. It might require them getting more versatile in how they use him, and conversely Shakir as well, maybe swapping, roles at times just to try to work other guys in and get Coleman going. But I am sort of buying the summer hype on Coleman at this point. And I recognize how dangerous a proposition that is, but it's not like he's some depth player, right, on a last chance. It's not even like he's Elijah Moore, who's, not on a last chance, I wouldn't say, but, I mean, he's facing a numbers game, I think, to become a meaningful contributor on this team. But it's interesting, amongst the wide receivers, he's got the best career average reception-wise. Here's the rundown. The 3 guys I mentioned in the poll. Kincaid's career average, 2 years, 58.5 receptions, 2 touchdowns. Coleman, obviously, 1 year, so there's no need to do averages. 29 receptions, 4 touchdowns last year. Palmer has averaged 45.5 receptions per season, only 2.5 touchdowns. He is spiked by one big year, 170-ish catch year in L.A. with the Chargers. But those are his numbers. Samuel is at 43.5, 2.8 touchdowns per year. And Samuel is also someone who spiked. He had a year very similar to the year Shakir just had. Quite a few years ago now, but Samuel had like a 77 catch season somewhere in there that boosts that. Elijah Moore, career averages, 50 receptions, 2.25 touchdowns. I went ahead and threw Knox on here just because he's going to be on the field, I'd presume a lot. 32 receptions, 3.8 touchdowns per year. And he's also sort of, the touchdown number is helped a lot by a big year and then a pretty good year the following year. I think he went 9 touchdowns and then 7. And since then, it's been a little more scarce. But those are the averages. And while I think you can look at Moore and Palmer in different ways, but their averages are encouraging. Kincaid's average, the touchdowns are not good, but 58.5 catches, including that 73 catches as a rookie 2 years ago, should be encouraging. But of all the guys here, he might be the one I'm most worried about staying on the field. I know it was only 1 day, but already knee soreness, and I think it really undid his season last year. And I'm a little, I guess you could choose to be worried or not worried about anyone in that regard. But with Kincaid, I just feel like there's more reason to be a little leery of him. So I would bet Coleman myself if I were finding my way to putting a bet in on this. And there's probably someplace in some way that you can do that kind of thing. I wouldn't want to just go to his over-under receptions because I'll bet it's really low. I would want to juice that up and go like 60 and say 7 touchdowns or something if I were going to put a bet in on Coleman. I just think the opportunity is going to be there for him to be on the field on a very regular basis. And I think the Bills should be motivated to get both he and Kincaid on track to the point where they are regular and real dependable contributors. There's big draft stock to varying degrees. I mean, one's a first-round pick, one is the first pick of the second round, but the last 2 years, pass catchers are your first picks, and I would think that the organization would want to get those guys featured and have them, look good. I mean, provided they can both walk and chew gum, which I think they've already demonstrated they can do. So Coleman would be my bet. 803-0550 is the number. You want to get in on this? We'd love to have you. Plenty of room for you today. Like I said, we don't have a guest until 4, and that will be Sal off of another day, a return to practice today for the Bills, and then at 5 o'clock, Matthew Collar. Again, 803-0550 is the number. Mark is going to lead us off here in the first segment of the day on WGR. Hi, Mark. Thanks for calling. You're on the air.
Hey, Bulldog. How we doing?
Good, man.
You stole my thunder last second. It's definitely Keon.
Well, I work here, so sorry.
That's right. You can play the averages game, right? Like if you take Keon and times 2 his season last year, he kind of reaches the averages of the other players already. And then you listed all the other variables and reasons why he could step up and more opportunity share, his draft position, so on and so forth. But the obvious answer is Keon's the guy that can take that jump. Otherwise, you're throwing darts against the board and saying this guy's gonna have a career breakout year, this or that. Which usually we know how that goes. Guys are who they are.
Right.
So
Keon. Yeah, and I think for the Bills, that's the best case scenario too. And I guess you could make the same statement about Kincaid, but I'm a little less bullish on him than I am Coleman. But I think if Coleman becomes someone who they can count on, I mean, that really answers a need. Like whether he ascends to the level of like a bona fide number 110 catch guy or something. I mean, I'm not predicting that, but right. I think as a compliment to what they've got with Shakir, if I can get him in the neighborhood I'm talking about, I think that's really good for the Bills' future.
Yeah, I was the same way with Kincaid too, but you also brought up that point where you just can't trust him on the field at this moment.
Right.
So I'm a Kincaid truther. I'm with you on that, but I think Keon's the right answer at this point.
All right, Mark. Thanks a lot. Appreciate the call, man.
I'm missing Pittsburgh Farms Dairy. I've been in the city. I've been out of Pittsburgh for like 7 years now, so I'm, all these Farms Dairy tweets everywhere. They're killing me.
I'm sorry. The what?
I'm a Pittsburgh native. So Farms Dairy. They're all over the Twitter app.
Yeah. I've never been, so good for you if you. But I'm sorry
right up your alley, Bulldog. Right up your alley.
Yeah, it's ice cream. Thanks. I'm not really sure how to take that. Right up your alley. It's ice cream. It's a place you go to like pack on calories. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely pro ice cream. That's not there's no age dividing line there. I think you love ice cream when as soon as you realize it exists, you love it, and you probably love it until you're dead. Right? There's no it starts and stops. But yeah, that's a feature of training camp. All the media folks, if you follow lots of the reporters, it's that place, Pittsford Pub, and there's some new contenders, right? There's a bar bill out there now, and Sal was at some great place on the lakefront, Marge's lakefront maybe. Anyway, looked great, the pictures I saw. But yeah, Pittsford Dairy is a big one, a regular stop during training camp for everyone, and I guess for the players too, and Bills personnel in general. All right, 803-0550 is the number. Again, you want to get in, I'd love to hear from you here. Lines are open. If you were placing a bet on which Bills pass catcher other than Shakir will break through to say some modest numbers, 60 catches, 6 to 10 touchdowns, who would you throw your money on? Kincaid, Coleman, Palmer, someone else, Samuel Moore, get in on it. Love to hear from you. Sal at 4, Matthew Collar at 5. We're off and running on a kind of dreary summer Thursday here on WGR.
It as us having to be consistent with the connection in terms of after every play I'm going to him and I'm saying, is that where you wanted me to be? And asking for feedback, especially after practice, asking him what routes he wants to run, where does he see me coming out of this break. Just a lot of reps and doing it over and over and over again.
That is Joshua Palmer, new Bills wide receiver off of 4 seasons with the LA Chargers, talking about his chemistry with his MVP quarterback, Josh Allen. Palmer, among those who were added, we'll see what tomorrow brings, but he, I think, was spending a lot of time with trainers today is what I read while practice was going on. I'll save the whole rundown on all that stuff until Sal gets here at 4 o'clock. But, they got a couple guys back. Knox was back practicing today. Elijah Moore was back practicing today. But Palmer, I think, did not make it through the entire practice. It didn't look like anything serious, but he was, again, spending some time with the trainers. Thanks for tuning in here on WGR this afternoon. I am the Bulldog. Mike Schopp is away on some vacation time here. We've opened up today talking about the Bills receiving corps. I know, right? Go figure. But no, I'm coming from a complimentary, optimistic place. If you were placing a bet on which Bills pass catcher, other than Shakir, because he already passed my thresholds here, is going to break through to say 60 catches and anywhere from 6 to 10 touchdowns, who would you throw your money on? And I'm saying Coleman. I like what I'm hearing and seeing about him today. So far in camp, 7 practices or 7 days in to camp, but certainly difference of opinion are welcomed here. One respondent on Twitter, Hobbs, says more is his answers. I had the poll, Kincaid, Coleman, Palmer, other, and please comment. And this person commented, Moore, Elijah Moore, 80-plus receptions, 1,100-plus yards, and 10 touchdowns. That would just be so massive. And look, I don't know, maybe guessing Coleman can approach 60 and 6 to 10 touchdowns is just as unreasonably optimistic, given what his rookie year looked like. Moore has never had the opportunity to play with a quarterback as talented as Josh Allen, nor be a part of a team as talented as the one that he's on now. But the problem I have with him getting too excited about him, it was before camp even started, wasn't he a part of some workout group? I can't remember who was organizing it. Chad Johnson. Elijah Moore was a part of that group, and there was a clip of him doing some sort of cone drill,
it was incredible,
cutting, and the little black specks from the turf were flying everywhere. It's like, oh, look at his feet. Man, he looks awesome. Problem I have getting too excited about Moore is just the numbers game. I'm not really sure where he fits in, and honestly, it isn't always who's the most talented receiver, right? They've got Samuel, and there's an investment there in Samuel, and I feel like he and Moore are close enough for the purposes of our discussion and for the purposes of the Bills building their receiving corps. I feel like he and Samuel are similar enough. Moore's a little bigger, but I think both guys will be fighting to get snaps if they're both here. I'm not even assuming that they will both be here, and because special teams enters into it, right? A Jalen Virgil body type enters into it. Returnability even. I mean, I don't know. I think Laviska Shenault is really tough to try to make this team, even tougher than Elijah Moore. But I am not assuming. I mean, Coleman, Palmer, Shakir, all yeses. I think Samuel is a yes. He's scary with injury stuff. He's already missing time now, here earlier than I think he started missing time last summer. And, the guys that have been around here, Shavers, they seem to like. Jalen Virgil, there's a draft pick. Wait until Hard Knocks shows up. Did you see the highlight of this Steven Gosnell long catch from practice on Tuesday?
Oh, yeah.
Weeks ago, I'd have to go find it, but my buddy Pat Moran from the Talking Buffalo podcast, I think, asked one day on Twitter who's like the sneaky star, right? Who's someone that we're not thinking about that's going to be featured on Hard Knocks. And if I didn't actually reply to him with this Stephen Gosnell, it's who I wanted to reply
That's
with.
who you were thinking of.
I was thinking of because, and I think it's falling into place. I mean, he caught the longest pass play, I think, of camp so far was a completion to him for a touchdown the other day. He's an undrafted free agent who, I think I've got his story right because I just checked it the other day, tore his knee up in Virginia Tech's bowl game at the end of the 23 season, but rehabbed so vigorously that he came back and played in 24. Right? So it's January of 24 actually, but it's the end of the 23 season, and he was back playing when the 24 season kicked off. Did not have a huge year by any means, but I just feel like that story is going to be compelling, and he made a big play already, and I'm expecting that to show up on Hard Knocks when it debuts on Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Like that. And so that's a guy, it's the power of television, right? You might not be thinking about this guy at all. Maybe right now is the first time you've even heard his name, right? With me talking about him on the radio. You're going to sit down to watch Hard Knocks, and if they go in this direction, there might be too many other compelling storylines for this to make the cut. I don't know. I'm not in charge of HBO's Hard Knocks. I don't know, but I feel like they like the sort of plucky underdog guys for that show. And as soon as, with some dramatic music playing, you get him talking about how hard he worked to come back from the knee injury in such a short period of time and play, and how brokenhearted he and his family were. They didn't get drafted. I don't know that this is true. I'm creating the vignette for you, okay? And the music is playing, and you're going to show him running routes, and he's going to catch this long bomb. And people are going to go, oh, I like this guy. Like, and I'm not making fun of you. Like, that's just how it works, man. Like, media, especially visual media, is manipulative. Like, it just gets you. So if they present him in the right way, I just have a feeling he's like a sneaky sort of under the radar star of Hard Knocks. Maybe early on.
Oh, 100%. Hard Knocks has a type. We all have a type as well.
Right. So, look, I'm not telling you I think he makes the team or anything, but it's just another name. But when I look at Moore and Samuel, I'm not assuming that they're both here because of special teams, because of returns, because of Shavers and Virgil, guys who've been in the system. There's also a draft pick in Prather who's also a bigger body, like different body type. They may want to have, like if they're counting on Coleman, which they should be, they may want to have someone who's more similar to him should something happen to him. And, you got to get pretty far into the depth chart to find that guy. So I just don't know. I think there could be a long shot. And Moore's the easier guy to cut because there's not a dead money investment that's going to be hanging around there. I was really surprised when we talked about this maybe last week or the week before, how much Samuel would cost to offload if you wanted to, even now post June 1st.
He's borderline unmovable.
Yeah. So I think that makes it tough for Moore. I mean, I love this 80 catches, 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns. That would be amazing. That's a guy that I'm not even assuming is on the team. I'd like him to be on the team. Mm-hmm. Frankly, if it were up to me, I might prefer he be on the team instead of Curtis Samuel. Like if that were the choice, right? From everything I'm saying here, body type, like fit in the offense, what skill set, that kind of thing. But I just don't know that it's that likely at all because of the contract that Samuel's got.
I ended up getting there this morning with Moore. Because, I mean, we've had this conversation. Like, I love Elijah Moore. I'm kind of a sicko for it. Like, Hobbs is my burner account on Twitter, obviously. But I'm kind of with you. Like, it's the numbers game. It's not fair, what have you. Sal is a big Tyrell Shavers guy. He looks like an NFL receiver. They probably just have way too many guys in front of him. I think your stat line for, like, who's going to have this might end up actually being the best receiver on the team. Especially if you can get to, like, 6 to 10 touchdowns, that might just be the guy. because they really don't have anyone that's going to demand 140 targets, 102 receptions like you had for Elijah Moore last year. He had 102 targets. It's not going to happen. I think it'll actually be Palmer. I love the Keon hit. I like what I'm hearing from camp. It sounds great. He's not a volume guy, I don't believe. And I think there will be games running where it's just, Keon gets like a target or two. I mean, it might work. It might be a touchdown, but he's not really a part of it. Where Palmer, I mean, everyone with the Bills bangs that guy's drum. Everybody. Bean, in now his like infamous or famous appearance here, like he was banging his drum. Like that's their guy. And he sort of fits the bill of what Allen likes to throw to. Like Keon, like that's the one thing I can't totally wrap my head around is like that's not really the guy Allen particularly likes to throw to, that kind of player. Palmer is.
Right. Coleman is almost a return to what they started out 100%. Doing with Allen, right?
Yeah.
It was the bigger guys were here, Andre Holmes, Kelvin Benjamin. It was like catch radius because he's not accurate. And then they, even before that rookie year was over, they pivoted to like, let's go get Isaiah McKenzie.
Right, exactly.
And we need some speed and separators, and that's how we'll offset his lack of accuracy. You don't really hear any problems about a lack of accuracy anymore. He really worked on it. So that's not there anymore. And so, yeah, I mean, the shakiest thing about Coleman to me is like carving out a role for a guy who it really depends on what they can do with him and where they want to deploy him and how flexible they are between he and Shakir, say. Like I've got the big slot thing in my head with Coleman and working the middle of the field and using his body to just sort of, just box guys out. I don't like the idea of featuring a guy in my offense who's going to depend as much as it might be likely that he will depend on contested catches.
Yeah, it's not a winning. If that's your go-to ability, it's not a winning model. Like for me, especially with receivers, I'm big on the guys like Palmer and Diggs. I'm a separation artist. I'm a technician. Maybe not the fastest guy, but I just get open. And that's where I think we'll know early if Keon is going to be a main fixture of the offense or Palmer or both.
Yep.
I think you could find out pretty early. Now, I will say there were games last year before Coleman got hurt where it was like, oh, okay, you're the guy now. The Seattle game I bring up a lot where he just, kind of just bullied a pretty good Seattle secondary. He's drawing penalties. They go to the jump ball twice to him. It didn't work once. They're like, cool, we're going to do it literally the next play, and it works. He's blocking guys into the sidelines. It was great. But Palmer's the guy I could see where just for a month and a half, you're like, he's averaging 6 targets a game. Like, Allen's just going to him all the time. And because he's also pushing the ball down the field. They really weren't able to do that. I think Palmer could be that guy.
And I could see them wanting, like I mentioned as a part of this, the team's motivation to feature Kincaid and or Coleman, right? Draft pick, equity, like let's get these guys off. Palmer, while it's a modest contract by NFL wide receiver standards, it's the biggest wide. Well, no, Shakir's ahead of him now after he got his extension, but still, it was a significant contract for the Bills to sign at that position. I think they would also want to make that work. They want to make everybody work, but there's different degrees, I think, from out here of importance on guys. Like if Palmer shows up and simply has like a Mac Hollins kind of year, even with the touchdowns, you'd be like, what are we doing here? You're paying $11, $12, $13 million for that? Did Mac Hollins do that for like a quarter of that last year? Like, what are we doing? So I think they're going to want to get Palmer off too. Like mouths to feed, everybody eats, et cetera, et cetera. I think you know the mantra. If you had to pick a player from the Bills' pass catchers. Okay, it's not just receivers. I didn't bother listing a running back because I just cannot imagine the Bills' offense turning into something that features a 60 reception running back at this point. I suppose it could happen, but that would really blow my mind. So I listed, the tight ends and the receivers, and we're just talking about that. You want to get in on the conversation? There's absolutely room for you to do so at 803-0550. Sal Capaccio coming your way in about 20 minutes. Matthew Collar an hour after that from Minnesota, our old friend, former morning show producer here at WGR. We'll get the lowdown on the Vikings and the NFC North from Matt when he joins us again at 5 o'clock. Mike is away today along with Zach Jones. I'm the Bulldog, and you are listening to WGR.
Been since so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time.
Contest time, be caller 5 right now at 716-221-4947. That's 4WGR for those of you who know how that works. But anyway, 221-4947 to win a pair of grandstand tickets to the NASCAR Cup Series weekend from Friday, August 8th through Sunday, August 10th at Watkins Glen International. The Go Bowling at the Glen brings the drivers of the NASCAR Cup Series to battle it out around the historic New York road course. Tickets are on sale for the entire NASCAR weekend right now at theglen.com. Again, that's theglen.com, but caller 5 right now is going to get themselves a pair of grandstand tickets at 716-221-4947. Good luck, and hope you enjoy yourselves. There's a baseball game happening at a motor speedway this weekend. I think it must be Saturday night, right? I know it's the second or the third. I'm pretty sure it's Saturday. They're playing at Bristol Motor Speedway, and it's the Braves and the Reds, I think, are the two teams that are involved in this. We talked about it a little bit last week or the week before. The uniform, the helmets have like a race car accent type striping on them, the batting helmets, and the uniform numbers are in the font of of what you see on the doors of the race car. Or they've moved them from the doors. I think they're on the rear, whatever. You know what I'm talking about, the numbers on the side of the race cars. I think they look pretty cool. And they're looking at a record crowd, I think, like in excess of 85,000 fans are expected to be on hand at Bristol Motor Speedway, which is a super cool, half-mile oval, huge grandstands all around it. And I've seen the mock-up of what the field is going to look like, and I think it looks really, really cool. So, anyway, we're not giving away tickets for that, but just a cool event for you motorheads out there coming up this weekend at Bristol Motor Speedway. Spending some time here talking about the Bills and the receiving core. Go figure, who do you like to emerge if someone is going to? I mean, last year they did not have this player. This player did not exist statistically on the Bills. My criteria for a breakthrough would be 60 receptions, 6 to 10 touchdowns. I didn't get funky thinking about yardage, okay? I mean, obviously guys are different. Like if Kincaid becomes this player, his yardage probably would not match what Coleman's would be. Coleman had a very high yard per catch, 19.2, almost double. 10.2 is what Kincaid's was. Coleman was 19.2. But as good as the Bills' offense was last year, this player was not on the team. Their receiving leaders went Shakir with 76, and then big gap, Kincaid with 44, Cook with 32, Samuel with 31, Hollins had 31, you've got Coleman in there with 29, and just on from there, right? So they did not have this guy. They did not need this guy last year, as it turned out. And maybe they won't need him this year. And maybe this offense just will not function in a way that enables another guy to break through, be it Palmer or Coleman or Samuel or Kincaid or whomever. But my guess is someone will emerge. I like, it's fun sort of poking at, but also respecting everybody each. I think you should respect it because of the results you got last year. I'm just not sure how dependable a model that is. Will it continue? That's really the genesis of the debate about the receiving core that the GM took so much offense to back in the spring around draft time. So maybe this player won't even exist and it won't matter. But I would bet on somebody sort of becoming a running mate for Shakir. I think Shakir, you can bank Shakir. And maybe there's even more there. I don't know. But I think Shakir is going to be at least what he was last year. But does somebody else elevate? That's what we let off talking about it. We'll talk more about it as we go and get Sal's thoughts on it, like we haven't already talked about this with him a million times. But we'll do it again and get the full rundown of everything that happened at practice today when Sal Capaccio joins the show right after this. Mike is away today and for really the next 6 or 7 shows. So, get used to me. Zach Jones along for the ride as well. I'm the Bulldog, and this is WGR.
Buffalo Bills got back to work today from St. John Fisher. Cole Bishop, though, down with a quad injury, and Alec Anderson, he is week to week after having a minor knee operation. But some good injury news. Tyrell Shavers, Dawson Knox, and Elijah Moore all made their returns, and we'll get more on today as Sal Capaccio does join the show next. Sal also has a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. Coverage of Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys. By Outlet Liquor, when you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. And driven by your Upstate Honda dealers. For great deals on the entire Honda lineup, visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. Preseason football does begin this evening. The Hall of Fame game between the Chargers and the Lions in Canton. Going to get underway just after 8 o'clock. Trey Lance will get the start at quarterback for the Chargers, while for the Lions, not official, but all signs are pointing to being Kyle Allen. Sabres announced that they have signed goaltender Devin Levi, a 2-year deal worth just over $812,000. And then the MLB trade deadline is today at 6. Some big moves have been made today, especially involving pitchers. Blue Jays acquire former Cy Young winner Shane Bieber from Cleveland. The Yankees go to the bullpen. They get David Bednar from Pittsburgh and Jake Bird from Colorado, while the Mets, they go to the outfield, adding Cedric Mullins from Baltimore. And then the Bisons, they are in action tonight, hosting Syracuse just after 6:30. That game can be heard on our sister station, The Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet is celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Oh, yeah. What a nice surprise. This is not something until an hour or so ago I thought or knew was going to happen. Sal Capaccio appearing live in studio.
I figured, you know what? It was one of those deals where I'm mapping out my day. And I know I got to do a story recap. I got to do Facebook Live, which, by the way, it's up, Facebook Live. So
All
check
right.
it out. And I said, okay, then I'm going to drive back to Buffalo. I'm going out with Bulldog at 4. I'll be in the car, but I'll be driving literally like past the studio. So why don't I just stop in and say, okay, I'm here, let's talk. And it's a lot better than doing it over the phone. So glad to see you, buddy.
It's nice. Yeah, it's been a while, right?
It has. We have not seen
I
each
don't
other
think
maybe since golf.
Yeah, we played golf at Hickory Stick.
That's right.
That one Monday
Yep.
more than a month ago now.
It seems like that. I mean, it's been a while. It's been a while. What did Eric Wood say one time when he was, I think, during his retirement? I always stuck with me, and he's right. The days are long, the years are short. Right?
Yeah, no, that definitely works. So what I haven't done yet, I want to get your thoughts on what I spent the first hour talking about, which go figure is the receiving core. But it's not, do they have enough? It's more like who's your money on to break through? We'll get to that, but I haven't mentioned to our audience yet. I mean, a lot of them probably know from social media. Practice has been over for many hours now, but there was still a pretty long list of non-participants today, and a couple of new names even during practice. Josh Palmer, I saw, was spending a good amount of time with the athletic training staff. It didn't look like anything real serious, but
no, he had
still.
a bit of a hitch, I guess, in his giddy up at the end, like walking around. You could tell something was bothering him, but he was still on the field even after everybody.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like anything too concerning, but yeah, it didn't seem. I don't think he kind of finished there like normal. I guess the big news today for injuries would be actually a couple positives, but let's start with Cole Bishop. Did not practice today, and quad injury. Now, he was on the field standing with his teammates with his leg wrapped, so that's good news. A lot of times if you see the guy, you think, okay, they're getting treatment when they can. If they're not out there, that's more concerning. Okay, there's something going on where they're not even able to come out here. So that was good. We also learned that offensive lineman Alec Anderson had his knee scoped, so he's going to be out. He's considered week to week. And I think that's a pretty significant deal for the offensive line. You're already without Spencer Brown, who is your main right tackle. Now you're without one of your main interior swing guys. You're already using Vandermark and Grable out on the right side and being the swing guys. So these are injuries, and you're already without Cedric Van Pran-Granger. And honestly, to me, Alec Anderson has an ability to be the backup center. If Cedric Van Pran-Granger doesn't get back to the field at some point, you have to start thinking about Alec Anderson being your backup center. Yeah. So I think that's a big deal. The positive is, though, saw Dawson Knox for the first time today out there in pads, catching passes. That was great. And Tyrell Shavers, after the way it looked, Bulldog.
Yeah, no kidding.
For him to come back, it was great to see Tyrell Shavers out there. Also Elijah Moore. Not a huge concern when he went out and he missed a couple of days, but they did get 3 pass catchers back.
Right. Samuel's still out.
Yep.
Brown, you mentioned, still out, but I think today maybe was the first time he was seen doing stuff off to the side, so maybe there's like a ramp-up that's starting to happen there, hopefully.
That's the case, and that's the thought and the hope. Terrell Bernard's been doing stuff on the side for a few days, so that's good. And look, I think we say this every year. We go through it every year. It always seems like I do think there's more this year than normal. I don't know the exact date. I think someone did break it down. Maybe it was Banged Up Bills, I believe, over on X, who broke down the stats. But there's always more injuries than you think there's going to be.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be cautious with anybody with anything. And when you see a name on a list, it's like, oh my God, here we go again. It could be a day, it could be 2 days, it could be longer than that. But they're not going to rush these guys back. The object is to be as healthy as possible week 1.
Did we talk about this with you already? I know I brought it up, and it's something we're I think hoping that we're going to get Sean McDermott on our show at some point here in the next couple of weeks, and I want to ask him like how much it's changed just over his coaching career, maybe even in just like the last few years with him, even as a head coach. Because it feels to me, and look, every player's in a different situation. Guys at the bottom of the roster might be a little less inclined to raise their hand and say, hey, my calf feels funny or my hamstring. But I wonder if the Bills actually tell the guys, like, look, you don't have to plow through stuff. You're not going to help us if you hurt yourself worse, right? If you got to tweak and you got to miss a day or two, that's way better than making it worse and missing a week or two. And again, with guys that are entrenched as starters, I would think that that's definitely the case, and they would have the comfort of knowing, like, my spot is safe. I'm going to miss a day or two, right? But the guy that's battling for the backup safety role or the whatever, right, might be less inclined, but I bet the Bills want them to handle it the same way anyways.
I think that's right. Look, there's an old saying that says you can't make the club in the tub, right? And we know that, and guys know that. If they're injured, they're not out there, they have a tough time making it. But I think the message from the team is not going to be, it's never going to be, get out there, you're going to not make the team. It's, you got to be healthy. We're not going to risk that. Because even if, hey, you don't have enough time, we have to release you, at least you know that they've done everything right in your facility, right by you, right by your trainers, and when they are healthy again, maybe they can help you.
Right.
Maybe they can be someone you bring back, and you want to make sure that they're doing everything they can to get on the field as healthy as possible. But sure, I mean, you got to be able to play through things sometimes. We all know that. This time of year, though, is a time to make sure that you're just making sure that you're good enough to go and be ready at the end of the season. And if these guys have a mentality, I think sometimes you have to protect guys from themselves. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So that can happen. But I don't think the Bills want to ever rush somebody and have a player come back and say, well, you made me get on the field.
Right.
And that's not going to happen.
Right. How do you have any sense at all of how, I don't know, worried, concerned, these are synonyms, McDermott, the coaching staff would be about Bishop? Because it's that's how kind of last summer went. And, we'll see how long he's out for, but I think it's very different this year. Like they're I think counting on him. That's his job if he can stay on the field. And to already be missing time, I wonder if they I know how the fan base can overreact. Anyone can overreact to any injury news. But I wonder even internally, they're like, oh, geez, like already with this guy, come on, we really need you.
When you say concern, I wonder, there are two components of, are you asking how concerned they are about him having another injury and being susceptible to injuries?
Yeah.
Or are you saying concerned because he's missing more time?
I guess both things could be concerning. I would expect them definitely to be concerned about him missing time.
Yes.
Right. But I wonder if they, because I always have in my head, when McDermott first got here, you talked about the abilities.
Yes, of course.
And availability.
It is. That's right.
Right.
I think the way I would approach this one is this. His injury last year was something that happened on the football field. He hurt his shoulder. That's going to happen in a game. It's going to happen in practice. I mean, he hurt himself.
Yeah.
He was in a sling that day. I don't know how he hurt his quad this year. I think it happened in a football play. He hurt his quad. These aren't soft tissue injuries. These aren't pulled hamstrings. These aren't pectorals and biceps and things that you can say, oh my God, what are you not doing? What are you doing wrong? I think these are more of, okay, these are football issues. But it does come into play. He's a little bit smaller safety in a lot of ways, right? Like, can his body hold up for the rigors of the NFL? To me, that would be the concern from that aspect, which is not that he's injury prone, but man, the way he plays at his size, what are we going to deal with management here? How often is he going to be available? So I agree with that. I do think there's got to be a concern of, okay, he's made all this progress and now is he out and he's missing time again? Like, we got to a point where this was working, and now is he taking 2 steps back? I would hope that at this point, Cole Bishop's been there over a year. He knows the defense. He's getting fit in, and he can just kind of come back seamlessly. But Taron Johnson told us last year in Pittsburgh, Bulldog, he said it took him a good 2+ years to really understand the defense. And that was like eye-opening. Like, a guy looked back and he goes, I did not really know this defense until year 3. Crazy.
Yeah, right.
So anytime you miss,
right.
To me, it's exponential for guys until they get to like their 3rd year.
Right. Sal Capaccio in studio with me here on WGR. I'm the Bulldog. Mike is away for the rest of this week and all of next week as well. Well, you wrote about, speaking of Bishop missing practice today, WGR550.com, the depth, the linebacker depth, at least in Bernard's case, he's been nursing a hamstring injury for a bit here, so there's been a lot of Balin Spector and Joe Andreessen next to Matt Milano, and then, of course, the safeties. We can get into that a little bit here. Is Hamlin someone that right now you think has a hold on a backup safety role on this team? And if it's not him, who are the other contenders?
I think Damar Hamlin is in a position to be a backup safety again in this team. But to me, the numbers still might dictate this overall. And I say it that way because I've always felt he was behind Derek Forrest. To me, Damar was the 5th guy on the outside looking in. That is Taylor Rapp, Cole Bishop. I'm going to count Derek Forrest. And I say 5 because I count Cam Lewis and Jordan Hancock as like flexible block guys. They can do both. So who are your main 4 safeties?
Are they both working as like Taron Johnson's backup and backup safety?
Yes, at different times.
Right.
Because Cam just what he does, right? I mean, that's what he does.
Yeah.
Jordan Hancock, even Bobby Babish told us today, he said he didn't want to get in the weeds. He said without getting into detail, we use him a little bit here and we use him a little bit there. And at some point, we're going to figure out where it's best, right? And they're going to keep doing on that. So I think you probably look at 5 total guys. There's not a chair for somebody. Is that Damar or is that Derek Forrest? I think it's one or the other. Now, you could surprise me. It could be Cam Lewis. It's not going to be Jordan Hancock. Jordan Hancock's going to be on the team. You could surprise me, but man, they love Cam Lewis. And he is, Brandon Beane has referred to him as the best backup nickel in the league. Are you going to release what you think is the best backup nickel in the league? And a guy that's been with you and knows your system after 7 years? No, I don't think so. So I look
maybe only if the rookie just shows that he can that he could be the best backup nickel in the league.
That's exactly right. He would have to show that, this is I'm better there than I'm at safety, and I'm better than that guy. And then you say, okay, numbers get squeezed, right? You're right. So I think it's Rapp, it's Bishop, it's Cam Lewis, it's Jordan Hancock, however you want to do that. And I think there's one spot for Damar Hamlin or Derek Forrest. And going into this, I felt Forrest was ahead of Damar because Damar was a guy they let become a free agent, let test the waters. They brought him back at a minimum deal. It wasn't like they were itching, and they always talk highly of him. Hey,
but it wasn't a priority.
Wasn't a priority. Derek Forrest, they went out, they signed. Get him from Washington, where he played for a Ron Rivera defense, knows a bit of the system. Yep, no doubt about it. Comes in here and has athletic traits that when you watch him play, he's different than Damar. What did we talk about all at the last season and going into the offseason? You got to be a little bit more athletic at safety than they were. So I always felt that Derek Forrest was that guy. I'm out there watching practice. I think Damar has been fine, and I think that Damar is getting enough of a look here to actually wind up winning that job again.
How about linebacker?
I know people are not going to love what I'm about to say, but you have to get used to the fact that Balin Spector might be the backup middle linebacker again. It could be Joe Andreessen. I still think Joe Andreessen has just as good, if not better, shot because of Balin Spector's lack of availability over the last few years. But he has been available this training camp, and he's out there rotating, and he's really good against the run. That's what he does. Joe, I think, still offers more upside maybe against the pass sometimes. I was thinking, short, not carrying guys down the field, right? But today he made a play. Joe Andreessen made a play today I wrote about, and we can make this our best of because it was a great play.
Good job reminding me.
So the first segment I watched, 11 on 11, Bale Inspector was the middle linebacker next to Matt Milano. This is all because obviously Terrell Bernard is out, but he was getting the reps. I'm like, okay, Bale Inspector's getting the reps at starting middle linebacker. And again, they're running run period. He looks good. There's nothing flashy, nothing bad, whatever. Then they go to a red zone period. I see Joe Andreessen there. There's a play where Josh Allen gets the ball. He looks to the flat, and Ty Johnson is running the flat. Looks like he's pretty open. Josh is going to throw it to him. They're in the red zone. And I'm telling you, Joe Andreessen went from his middle. He saw from his middle linebacker spot exactly what was happening. And he made a beeline to Ty. And Josh pulled up. He's like, he saw him 10 yards away. Like, I can't throw that ball. I'm going to get my running back either decapitated or make a big loss on this play. So Josh had to kind of change his direction, his thought, went the other way, goes across the middle to Dalton Kincaid. And by the time he did that, it was off. Timing was off. Incompletion. That incompletion was caused by Joe Andreessen.
Right, even though he doesn't get a pass defense credit on the play, right?
That was caused by Joe Andreessen. And that, to me, that's where I think Joe can really excel and show you. Like, he gets to a spot, even in the pass game, he sees what's going on. I think he diagnoses. I saw this in OTAs and minicamp. I talked a lot about it. I thought his pass game coverage in minicamp was great, Joe Andreessen. And if he can do that, he can prove to be a better backup middle linebacker because now you're talking about 3 downs for a guy. And I also think just the availability piece of it for a guy than Bale Inspector, who they like. He's been in the system 3 years, but he's on the 4th year of a drafted rookie contract versus the 2nd year of an undrafted contract, right? I mean, numbers matter here too.
Yeah. Is there room for both of them on the roster or probably not?
There is. If you squeeze out a guy like Eddie Ulofoshio, are they going to do that? And they could. Maybe Eddie Ulofoshio doesn't make it. The guy that's actually kind of showing up a little bit here, and by the way, Dorian Williams hasn't practiced still in a while, right? So he's also out there. The guy that is getting a lot of these reps, though, Shaq Thompson.
Yeah, right. He's easy to forget about.
I mean, he can play all these spots.
Yeah.
He has position flexibility. He knows Sean McDermott's defense. At the end of the day, linebacker's going to be interesting. Bernard, Milano, Williams. And then who do you choose from? Maybe do you keep 2? Do you keep 3? Andreessen, Ulofoshio, Spector, Shaq Thompson. You also have Keontae Jenkins. But I mean, that's probably 3 guys who are gone. I don't know. I mean, where do you get the numbers from?
Right, yeah. There will be a lot of... I was thinking about this same point as it pertains to the defensive line, Sal. Now, I know they've got the issue, and they'll have.
Did you want to make that the best of, by the way?
Oh yeah, thank you.
Go ahead. I don't want you to forget.
Look at this guy. See,
you got a lot on your plate today.
When I'm by myself, I forget all this stuff. Yeah, best of training camp brought to you by Northtown Automotive. Get a Northtown Engine Shield engine protection warranty on new and used vehicles. Thank you for the reminder there.
You got it.
We've got Hoyt and Ogunjobi who are going to have the suspension since they won't count against the 53 when the cutdown comes. So there is flexibility there. But, man, I'm just looking at the names and the draft stock
I know.
on the defensive line, not just at edge. There's just so many guys here. Like, Landon Jackson is a player that I was excited about when they drafted him, liked his skill set, liked his size. Is he running like 3rd team reps basically? Like he can't even crack the. Like I wonder. Like I think he's a 3rd round pick. He's on the team, right? But maybe he's an inactive guy when we get right down to it. And I mean that's already again 3rd string I'm talking about. There's just a lot of bodies there with these new guys, with Sanders being a 2nd round pick and Dwayne Carter, I think, a 3rd round pick from last year. You've got the Deion Walker, a 4th round pick from this year. There's just a lot of dudes.
6 guys at edge and 6 guys at tackle. I think if you just do it off the cuff, are making the team, but you can't have 6 and 6. You can, I guess. Who's going to keep 12 defensive linemen? I don't think they're going to do that.
Don't they usually keep like 10?
Yes, 10. It's the most. 9 or 10 generally, right? One who might be a flex, and maybe 10. So let's just say it's 10. Okay, they can do that now because Hoyt and Ogunjobi are suspended for 6 games. So at the end of the day, you could still do Rousseau, Bosa, Epinesa, Solomon, Jackson. That's your 5. Oliver, Jones, Carter, Sanders, Walker. That's your 5. Great. But yeah, what are you talking about? Who's getting on the field? Who's getting jerseys? Who's not? I think Landon Jackson tough at this point, considering the fact that, oh, by the way, Javon Sullivan's sneakily putting together a nice little camp.
Yeah.
He looks like a guy that might be able to help you on third down.
Yeah. I wonder when you start crunching those numbers and consider draft stock, like, could a guy like Epinesa be in trouble?
I wonder if you could get something for a guy like that,
yeah.
like you did with a Daryl Bam Johnston, right?
Right.
A couple of years ago.
Right.
Could he be in trouble? Sure. I think Brandon Beane has always shown a willingness to trade something instead of just letting it go. And if you can get a late round asset, you could do that. I think that's a guy that could be, hey, you know what? If we can get something for him, maybe we do. It's a tough call. I don't know where all these guys fit. I mean, sometimes injuries do dictate.
Mm-hmm.
They also have the IR designated to return. They can use, remember, new rule now, as of last year, on cut down day, they can put 2 guys on IR designated to return who don't have to make the 53, and you can bring them back later. That you never had to do that before. Now you get 2 guys. Someone has a minor injury. One of these guys has a minor injury.
Right.
You wait till cut down day. He goes on IR to return. Now solves your numbers issue for at least several weeks, and until at least Hoyt and Ogunjobi come back, and then you have to figure that out again.
Right.
Right? The other guy that could wind up being an IR to return candidate on that day is Max Harrison, by the way. Like, if Max Harrison doesn't practice between now and, Labor Day, I think he's certainly an IR to return candidate. Then you give him more time. You don't put any pressure for him to be on the field.
Yep.
You don't use up a roster spot on him, and he gets to return this year.
And Tre'Davious White has kind of given you the kind of performance that might make you feel like that's okay to do. Like, that, I think, is gone. We talked about this early in the week already. I think he's maybe one of the stories of camp so far, isn't he?
Tre'Davious 100%. White? I wonder if he's a story on Hard Knocks because of his comeback and everything, right? I don't know what they're going to show Tuesday night.
Right.
But I'm thinking, does Tre'Davious White a guy that, they talk about the comeback of Tre'Davious White, and then maybe Hard Knocks goes into the story and see what happens with Max Harrison. This all kind of comes together, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think this becomes a story. But I also think part of the reason would be Jamarcus Ingram, Dane Jackson, and Dorian Strong. Like, you don't have to rush Max. We all want to see Max Harrison play. We all want to see the explosiveness, the speed. I don't think the Bills feel, going back to our conversation earlier, they have to get him on the field as soon as possible right now.
Before you go, because I thought we'd spend more time on this, the Twitter poll, I talked about it a lot the first hour while you were on the way in here. Like, who's the most likely candidate? If you had to put money on a receiver, aside from Shakir, a pass catcher, doesn't have to just be a receiver. Kincaid and Knox should count for this too, to elevate to say like 60 catches, 6 to 10 touchdowns. Who would you bet on?
Because of the touchdowns, I'm going to go Keon Coleman. I thought about Dalton Kincaid. If it was just maybe that and like higher catches, like I would go Dalton Kincaid. I think Dalton Kincaid can be the guy that they really kind of target more and gets more catches.
He did catch 73 as a rookie, right?
He did, and he had 75 targets last year. Even as he was second on the team in targets last year. Dalton Kincaid was behind Khalil Shakir. But I think because you're talking about also touchdowns, Keon Coleman had 4 touchdowns last year in 13 games.
Right.
He had 4 touchdowns and only 29 catches. He's catching a touchdown, every 7 catches, basically, a little more. So I think that he, to me, and I do think that he could elevate and be that guy. He had another nice day today, another nice couple of catches today.
Yeah.
There was one that the Bills put on their own social media feed, by the way, if you haven't seen it. And I just think the rapport with Allen is starting to come. It really looks good.
Mm-hmm.
I think Josh is understanding and Keon's understanding, like, where he wins is just different than a lot of where other guys win. And that's where the ball seems to be going, to wind up winning in those spots. And I think Keon has an ability to be a guy who can score touchdowns in the red zone, but also really increase his volume.
I hate to end on a hard question to answer, but is there any discernible difference in Coleman? I don't mean like do his biceps look bigger, but like is he running routes more crisply? Is there a difference from last year to this year that you can discern watching him?
When I watch him sometimes, I think he's more, how do I say, purposeful. What's the word I'm looking for? Intentional. He's more intentional in his routes. It's not just, I'm going to beat this guy with my athletic ability. It's, I know I have to break down a little bit more.
Right.
I posted a video first day, second day of camp of Keon catching a ball on an in cut. And as soon as he caught it, Bulldog, he put his foot down and he went straight up the field. And I said, that's an example. It's not the route to get there. It's after he caught the ball. He knew exactly, I got to put my foot down. I got to get up the field. I'm not blowing by these guys. I'm not staying on my path and running. But I watch him. He seems like, I think the best way I'd say is he seems like he's settled down running routes. And that's a good thing for him.
Right.
He's not trying to overdo it. He's not trying to overcomplicate it.
Right.
He's not trying to beat you in a way he can't beat you.
Right.
It's, I got to know, I got to understand the nuance here.
Well, intentional was the right word there.
I think he's more intentional of what he's doing.
Yeah. Oh, I like it. A good answer for, I think, a hard question.
I appreciate it. And we'll see if it translates, but I do think that was something he worked on, and I think that that's something that's starting to show now.
All right. Nice of you to stop in today.
Thanks, buddy.
Enjoyed seeing you. We'll do a couple hours together tomorrow, right?
We will. I'll
You'll
be down at the stadium, and then the Bills will be down at the return of the blue and red. Hope to see people down there. And, shout out to the bullpen. They're all saying hi here, so hi.
All right, there you go. There's Sal Capaccio in studio. Coverage of Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University, where Sal was earlier today, is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys, and driven by your Upstate Honda dealers. For great deals on the entire Honda lineup, visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. We'll take a time out, sort of reload the question I just asked Sal that we ended with. Who's a pass catcher that you're looking to elevate, that you would bet on elevating for the Bills in 2025? 803-0550 is the number. Mike is away along with Zach Jones. I'm the Bulldog, and this is WGR.
Good news today for the Buffalo Bills on the injury front. We already heard yesterday cornerback Max Hairston will not miss the season. His ACL is intact, but he is expected to be out at least a few weeks with an LCL sprain. And then today, Tyrell Shavers, Dawson Knox, and Elijah Moore all made their returns to practice. And just a few minutes ago, the team did announce that they have activated right tackle Spencer Brown off the PUP list. The Bills will be back in action tomorrow night for the return of the red and blue practice from Highmark Stadium. And coverage of Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University, and of course, Bills training camp as a whole, is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, by Outlet Liquor when you need to stock up. It's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys, and driven by your Upstate Honda dealers for great deals on the entire Honda lineup. Visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. We do get preseason football underway this evening. The Hall of Fame game between the Chargers and the Lions in Canton, Ohio, get underway just after 8 o'clock. Trey Lance set to get the start for the Chargers, while for the Lions, it is not official, but it appears it'll be Kyle Allen. And then the MLB trade deadline is today at 6 o'clock. Plenty of moves across the league. Carlos Correa on his way back to Houston from Minnesota. And then the Blue Jays, they acquire former Cy Young winner Shane Bieber from Cleveland. The Yankees go to the bullpen. They get David Bednar from Pittsburgh and Jake Bird from Colorado. While the Mets, they add to the outfield Cedric Mullins from Baltimore. And then the Bisons, they are in action tonight hosting Syracuse just after 6:30. That game can be heard on our sister station, the Bet 1520. It's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
I mean, I can think back to when I was as a linebacker coach with TB, right? TB missed the entire preseason. We had a plan in place, and we certainly have walkthroughs. We have things that he can do during practice and those type of things when he's available to be able to do those things, but it's hard to simulate game speed. You can't simulate the physicality of the NFL, so certainly going to be an adjustment period there, but we'll have a plan, and it'll be well thought out and be rocking and rolling.
That is Bills defensive coordinator Bobby Babich. Met with the media today. He was recently a guest on the morning show as well. They've been out there whenever the Bills are practicing in the morning show is there, so that means they won't be there tomorrow because the Bills are practicing in the evening at the stadium. I'm going to have a mind tomorrow. We'll see. I mean, Sal will be with me from 3 to 5, and then he's got to go get involved in covering the practice. And I think they do like a bit of a sort of practice rehearsal broadcast too, although I don't think Eric Wood will be there. But Brownie will be in the booth, and Sal will be down on the sidelines, and they'll just do some dry run stuff. That won't be on the air or anything. But anyway, Sal's got responsibilities, so he'll be with me for 2 hours tomorrow. And excuse me. So the morning show will be here. Instead, I wonder, I have a mind tomorrow to maybe for the first time, it won't be the first time. I think we've already done it, and it definitely will not be the last time, sort of start unpacking stadium memories. It seems very cumbersome on the radio to events, games, moments. It's hard. You compile votes or whatever, but tomorrow it's possible. Like there are probably fans that are going to this practice tomorrow that can't afford or just can't get their hands on game tickets. Like tomorrow could be some fans' last time in the stadium. I know already, right? There's only one preseason game. Those tickets are a little easier to get, of course, than the regular season tickets. So I'm thinking about the stadium for tomorrow. Just a little bit of a preview, but we've got Sal from 3 to 5. Not that he can't partake in that conversation, but Sam Panayotovich is our guest at 3:30 tomorrow, and then I'll have Aaron Quinn from Cover 1 with me tomorrow at 5 o'clock. But the stadium is kind of on my radar. But before it gets away from me, what Babich was saying there, it's a good reminder he just gave me about Terrell Bernard from his second year with the team, right? He's a third-round drafted rookie backing up Tremaine Edmunds. Edmunds leaves as a free agent, and Bernard is like, you're going to camp. He's the favorite to replace him, but he missed, like Babich said there, he missed almost all of camp. And I think out here we were like, is this going to be okay? A third-round, second-year guy. He's missing a lot of practice, missing a lot of camp, and Bernard just stepped in and has been. I mean, he's not an all-pro or anything, but he's certainly been a fine middle linebacker for this team. Someone who I think you really miss when he's not there. And the reason I say it's a good reminder is because similarly, I mean, it's not a big free agent departure that the Bills have suffered here, but, we all know Hyde and Poyer have been gone now, and Hamlin held down a job last year. Taylor Rapp is entrenched as a starter at one of those spots, but Bishop is going into his second year, had an uneven rookie year, largely because of missing a lot of camp and missing a lot of reps, and he's hurt now, and we don't know how seriously, but he missed time today. What do we hear? Is it a quad strain, calf strain? I can't remember which. I think quad. Either way, hopefully minor, but maybe he's someone who follows the Terrell Bernard path to being a starter, even if time is missed. Not ideal. Obviously, you'd like to have the guy there participating, but I think it would take a lot for him to not win. I think he'd have to be hurt to the point where he can't be ready for opening day. I think even if he were to miss a lot of camp, I really wonder. My guess might be that he still would find his way, much like Bernard did, into the opening day lineup back there. It's a second-round pick. The athletic traits are, I think, really positive with Bishop, and I think they're going to want to find their way to him being on the field. Of course, he has to be healthy enough to do it. But as much as, I was pressing Sal there, how worried might they be? Because, he did miss time last year. Do you start worrying that a guy is just not going to be available on a regular enough basis for you to trust him as a starter in that role? And I wonder, Bernard's a good lesson in that from what Babich just said, because we were in the same position with him 2 years ago. He's not here, not practicing. Geez, I don't know. Should we be worried? What's the depth like beyond him? And opening day comes and he's there. And he's been pretty much a very reliable starting player for the Bills. I mean, he has missed his share of time for sure, but I wonder if Bishop can kind of follow that same path, because I do think, while I think it's fair to say Hamlin, do I want to use the word fine? do we have a trademark on fine and what it really means? It's fine. How was dinner? Fine. I ate it. It didn't taste bad, but I would have liked maybe 10 other things instead. It was fine. That's sort of the connotation that fine has taken over here. And Hamlin, this has come out bad, but he was fine last year, right? Fine. But fine is not excelling. Fine is not making big plays and being a difference maker. Fine is hey, I'm not hurting you. We're getting by. This is fine. I think you want to be better than that at as many positions as you can be. I mean, the reality is you're going to have to live with sort of base level, replacement level play, I think, in pockets of your roster. This is not realistic, I think, to have guys that are, top tier all over the field. I mean, sure. The Eagles might look like the closest to that last year with the way they finished the season. But even them, I'm sure there's guys there that are just sort of, I don't know, placeholder type guys that are just, we don't have a better idea right now kind of thing. And I feel like Bishop provides some opportunity and maybe even some optimism to get back to what Hyde and Poyer. Boy, that's a high bar to set. I'm going to reel that back in a little bit. But I just need some impact. I'm looking for plays, right? Not just Well, better than fine. That's it. Sorry. Do we understand our definition, the show's definition of fine? I think Hamlin's fine. I want to be better than that. I think Bishop represents an opportunity to have that on your team, and I hope that it comes to fruition. This is, I don't want to exaggerate. It's not like I'm invested in the player, but you know how it is. You talk on the radio 20 hours a week or more during the season. It's more, and they make that pick. I like this player. I remember last summer sort of clamoring for him to replace Hamlin right away. Like, can he get on the field? And Sal was always like, they're going to want a guy that they trust, that knows the defense. There's a lot that goes into it. And like Sal said earlier, Taron Johnson told him, it took me 3 years to understand everything that's going on here. So I was probably rushing it with Bishop, but that's a player that I loved the pick, and I really want to see it come through for them. So I hope that that can happen, because I think they can be better than they were back there last year. And he's really he's the change. He's the agent of change back there, because Rapp is there. The backups, I think, are, if it ends up being Hamlin or Forrest or whatever, relatively interchangeable. Bishop, to me, is an opportunity to get back to getting impact from that position, and I'm hoping that does end up happening. 803-0550 is the phone number if you're out there and want to get involved in the show. Anything that we've talked about today, really anything on the Bills, is fair game. I was focused on receivers to start today, and we can kind of reload that and jumpstart that if you want. Who would you bet on to break through from the Bills' pass catchers? It's not limited to just receivers. Kincaid certainly figures into this. You can suggest Knox if you want. But I posted a poll with some threshold, statistical markers: 60 catches, 6 to 10 TDs. These are not explosive numbers. These are not number one receiver numbers. But keep in mind, this team last year had quite a gap from their leading pass catcher, Shakir, with 76, to 44 from Kincaid. So a 60 reception guy is probably your second leading receiver if Shakir, keeps pace with what he's been doing, or maybe even exceeds what he did last year, which I think is certainly possible. I think last year is a good baseline for him. I don't know that there's a lot more of a ceiling there. Maybe there is, but somebody behind him to supplement this passing game would be really, really nice. The poll included Palmer, the new free agent addition, Coleman, the second-round pick from last year, first pick of the second round, going into year 2, and Dalton Kincaid now going into year 3 off of kind of an injury-marred second season. I would understand if you want to pick Kincaid. He did have 73 catches as a rookie. So he's got that, and he had a lot of targets last year. They were weirdly unsuccessful targeting him last year, Allen was. So maybe his health played into that. Anyway, we spent some time on that today. Happy to revisit, as always, at 803-0550. Mike is away today along with Zach Jones. I am the Bulldog. Thanks for listening to WGR.
We've been living in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, get through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over. It's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. Roller coaster. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life. And now it's about to leave. Oh, roller coaster.
Cool having you hang out with us today here on WGR. Mike is away on vacation through next week. Zach Jones hanging. G's running the video stream. Hi, YouTube, the Twitch. I feel like I'm not respecting the Twitch enough. I don't want to ever feel like I'm ignoring the Twitch. So glad you're out there, whatever that is, and you are if you're watching on Twitch. 803-0550 is the number. I had one thing I wanted to revisit from yesterday's show because it didn't come to mind. We were talking pretty late yesterday about how in a few weeks here, mid-August, my son Owen and myself are going to Boston. I'm going to go to Fenway for the first time since the kids were. Owen's 23. I have not been there since we've had children. So it's been a minute since I've been to Fenway. And as part of that discussion, Mike mentioned to me, and it was the first I'd heard of this. I didn't know about the 9-9-9 challenge, right? 9 beers, 9 hot dogs, and 9 innings. And I guess J.J. Watt just did it in like half the time or something at a game in Milwaukee. And Mike was asking, we spent some time talking about, could you do it? Would you want to do it? I definitely don't have any interest in trying to do it. But one thing that comes to mind about that, like if you were to try to do that, do you have like a personal assistant with you that is just going to the concession stand constantly? Because like I haven't been to a major league game in a while, but I know sometimes you get up to go get stuff and you can miss a couple innings, right? Waiting in line, depending what you're trying to get. And I don't think I'd want to bring, say, more than 2 beers back to my seat with me. Hot summer day, they're going to get gross, right? So I want the beer to be cold. I want the hot dog to be, it's a ballpark hot dog to begin with, right? Sometimes they're not exactly cooked to your specifications, if you know what I mean. So you're dealing with room temperature dogs to begin with almost. And what, I'm gonna get 3 of those at a time? And am I ripping the little mustard packets? Or what am I doing? It just seems, I guess you can just sit there and have the guy or girl that walks around. But again, every inning, that person's going to be, another dog, another beer. I don't know. It just seems logistically a little more complicated.
Oh, it's a nightmare logistically.
I would need, like if I wanted to do this, I would need to tell Owen, here's the deal. There's money riding on this. I'm going to try to eat 9 hot dogs and drink 9 beers during this 9-inning game. What I need you to do is settle for not watching a minute of this game.
Yeah.
I'm going to need you to just go back. You know how what I like on my hot dogs. Do not put ketchup on there. I'm not 9, right? So you need an assistant. I think it would be really hard. Otherwise, you're just not even seeing you can stand in the concourse all night,
right,
but what the hell fun is that?
You either need an assistant or you need to just embrace the aesthetic of what this looks like and go, no, I ordered 9 hot dogs, and then you got as many beers as you could hold, and you're like, it's going to be gross after 10 minutes, but look at what I'm doing.
That just makes it so much harder.
It's so much harder.
Like a warm beer on a hot summer day.
I think in my
after
prime,
you've already had a couple.
Yeah, I think in my prime I can maybe get halfway through, but no shot now. No shot.
No, I don't even wanna. But I just some reason one of those. You get to be my age. You wake up at 3 a.m. because it's biology, and lying there like, 999. What do you? How in the world am I pulling that off? Actually watching the game, it just seems like a lot. All right, we'll take a time out. I definitely will not bring any of this up with Matthew Collar, our old buddy from the WGR Morning Show, long time in Minneapolis, Minnesota, on the Vikings beat. He's got his own deal going there with Purple Insider. We'll visit with Matt coming up right after this on WGR.
Today over at St. John Fisher, Cole Bishop down today with a quad injury, while Alec Anderson, he is week to week after having a minor knee operation. But some good news on the injury side of things. Tyrell Shavers, Dawson Knox, and Elijah Moore all made their returns to practice, and the team also announced that they have activated tackle Spencer Brown from the PUP list. Coverage of the Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University is, of course, brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys. By Outlet Liquor, when you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys, and driven by your Upstate Honda dealers. For great deals on the entire Honda lineup, visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. For more on today, our own Sal Capaccio does have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. Preseason football does begin tonight. The Hall of Fame game between the Chargers and the Lions in Canton, Ohio. It'll get underway just after 8 o'clock. Trey Lance is set to get the start for the Chargers, while all signs are pointing to the Lions going with Kyle Allen. And then MLB trade deadline is today. An hour left and plenty of moves going around. Carlos Correa going back to Houston from Minnesota. The Blue Jays, they acquire former Cy Young winner Shane Bieber from Cleveland. The Yankees go and get relievers David Bednar from Pittsburgh and Jake Bird from Colorado, while the Mets, they added their outfield, Cedric Mullins from Baltimore. And then the Bisons, they're in action tonight hosting Syracuse. That game just after 6:30 and can be heard on our sister station, The Bet 1520. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Manny's here.
And the Bulldog.
And don't even talk to me about weed.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Yeah, silly me. Earlier today, I clicked on an ESPN.com story quoting Carlos Correa saying there's absolutely nothing to the idea that I'm going back to Houston. I've had a hard time keeping tabs on all the MLB trade deadline news here and here hosting the show without Mike here. This is all kind of rushing past me, but I sort of believed him. Silly me. Speaking of Minnesota, joining us right now on the West Her Hotline, you first came to know him and love him as the witty morning show producer here at little old plucky WGR Sports Radio 550. And little did you know at the time that he would go on to become, I'll embellish maybe a little, although maybe you did win awards, award-winning football writer and an author, as well as owner of his own outfit covering the Minnesota Vikings, Purple Insider. It's Matthew Collar on the West Her Hotline, everyone. How'd I do, Matt?
I don't know which awards I won, but I'd like to thank my family and everybody who voted for me for those awards that I was. No, things are going great. It's really interesting to be relevant in the National Football League in the lead up to a season. It has truly been a while. I mean, we're talking like since maybe the Vikings signed Kirk Cousins. Has there been this much attention? You know, when you see the ESPN cameras show up and NFL Films was there yesterday shooting J.J. McCarthy, you're like, oh, yeah, that's right. Because for such a long time, even at this time last year, and I know they won 14 games, but nobody thought Sam Darnold was going to win 14 games. And
right.
So you didn't see too many national people showing up. You didn't hear too much conversation about the Vikings. And then those Kirk years where they were the definition of another football team in the league, kind of how the Minnesota Twins have been for a long time. Just another team out there. You know, they're doing it. They're trying it. But, you know, they weren't a team that had Super Bowl aspirations. And now you have this roster that's stacked. You have a quarterback who has never played before, but they moved on from the guy that you won 14 games with. It's juicy here. It's been a lot of fun so far.
How, since you mentioned Darnold, I was thinking about this earlier today that if we had time, I'd want to bring it up, but whatever, we'll lead off with it. We know how it ended there. I mean, he won the 14 games, but the last 2 games, the regular season finale and then the playoff game, were pretty rank. Is there a scenario where they could have, obviously if they would have won and gone to the Super Bowl or something, then I would think that he's entrenched and like you're paying him and you're just going to keep going. Was there, you think, out there some sweet spot where he could have played well, not been the reason maybe they lost either of those games and they would have wanted to bring him back? Or did those 2 games just absolutely submarine any hope?
Those games did submarine hope, but the funny thing is, it's kind of quick how we forget. They did offer Sam Darnold the contract to come back and be the quarterback this year, but the issue was that they were just not going to be able to give him enough money on a one-year deal for him to say yes, knowing that if he went somewhere else, that he was going to make $100 million over 3 years. And the other thing is, who would have wanted to be the guy that in week one, if he starts out 2 for 7 passing and they're down 14-3, is going to get booed off the field by his own fans because they're already in love with their version in their head of J.J. McCarthy. And I think Sam Darnold wanted to always use this as a springboard to find a place where he could be, somebody's quarterback that they could really buy into over multiple years, and Seattle decided to do that. So that left the Vikings with the option of basically either franchise tagging him and taking up $40 of their $60 million in cap space on just the quarterback and running out the same team. And I'm guessing they would have had the same results in the playoffs because they would have had too many weaknesses. And so this is really sticking to the plan. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, the Vikings GM, he came up with San Francisco. And what's been the San Francisco model? It's been quarterbacks that aren't all that expensive, that can do their job, and absolutely disgusting rosters top to bottom. And that's really what they did. I mean, how many teams ever have won 14 games and then led the NFL in free agent spending? But that's what they were able to do because they built a 3-year plan to get Kirk out, to bring in a quarterback. They targeted 2024 draft class. They knew it was going to be really good. And they also started paying people last year when they signed Jonathan Grenard, Andrew Van Ginkel, Blake Cashman, and then, extensions for Darisaw, extensions for Jefferson. Like, the money was kind of already paid. They didn't have room for a Sam Darnold to win 14 games and then all of a sudden need, a $30 million a year contract. So, this is according to plan, but it's also very bold because I can't think of any examples of a team winning 14 games and then saying, hey, Sam Darnold, that was great, and we'll catch you later. But I think what the losses did in the playoffs was that they allowed it to be a very easy exit, because if he had played really well and they lost 31-27 or something like that, I think there would have been a lot of debate within the fan base. But once he played like that in the last 2 weeks, it was like, oh, okay, well, it was one of those silly fun years. And kind of like Kyle Orton, remember that? Like, Kyle Orton, oh, he's retiring? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, right. Yes, I do remember. I remember everything, Matt, at least most days. As last year was going on and Darnold was having that season, whenever we would talk about the Vikings, maybe we even had this conversation with you at some point during the season, I'll bet we did, because you are one of our favorites. I would they drafted McCarthy. The plan is the plan. You got to just ignore what Darnold is doing. And it got harder and harder to keep saying that as the wins piled up. And he was, never in the driver's seat to be the MVP, but he was credibly mentioned as a candidate, and rightfully so. I just never thought extending him would have been a good idea. And frankly, I'm not optimistic for him in Seattle, and I'm counting the days until Jalen Milroe takes his job.
Yeah, it's really interesting because there's been some fortuitous things happening along the way here for the Vikings to get to the place they always dreamed of getting, which was the rookie quarterback contract and the stacked roster that they've spent bazillions of dollars on. Just for example, Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles at the exact right time to make sure that they got into the top of the draft to be able to take J.J. McCarthy. If Kirk doesn't tear his Achilles and they go 10-7 and they lose in the first round of the playoffs, then you're talking about having to trade up probably multiple firsts, if you even can, to get J.J. McCarthy. So instead, they just got him. And I think the last 2 games of the season are kind of a good bounce when it comes to actually competing for a Super Bowl. But there were moments there for sure. I mean, week 17, he plays a game against the Green Bay Packers. It's one of the best quarterback games that I've seen from the Vikings since I moved here in 2016. And I thought after that game, I probably said, I have no idea how you could move on from this guy. After they just won their 14th game, they just crushed the Packers on national TV. He was great. He was in command. And let's not forget, it's not like Sam Darnold was Kyle Orton. I mean, this guy can throw the heck out of the ball. He was a top draft pick. That's how good he was supposed to be. And that's why I kind of think Seattle is such a mid team that they're kind of destined for that with Darnold. But I also wouldn't be shocked if he got them to the playoffs and just continued to be good. Like, I don't think it was a lucky, cartoony, kind of random type of season, but I also think it gave us a lot of confidence in Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and what a supporting cast can truly do for a quarterback in the NFL. And even though it is bold to go to J.J. McCarthy, now you can do it and say, well, just last year you put in one of the guys who's been one of the worst quarterbacks since he came into the league and won 14 games. So you should be able to make this work.
You would think. Matthew Collar on the Western Hotline with us here on WGR. Matthew's Purple Insider covering the Vikings really since, you moved in 2016, you said. Funny, I'm just following a little trail of breadcrumbs here. You leave, the Bills drought ends. I mean, I don't know. Draw your own conclusions. But Purple Insider's doing great. How is McCarthy so far? Now, last year you got some camp out of him, but he got hurt pretty early, and it was a lost year. What are the returns so far? Is he making everyone look smart for hitching their wagon to him?
So here's what happens with, when a player plays their absolute best right before they got hurt. That becomes the only version of that player that you know. And that's kind of what happened with J.J. McCarthy, where the 2 or 3 days leading up to the preseason game, he was really fantastic in camp last year. Preseason game, he's just marvelous. Now, it's against the second team of the Las Vegas Raiders, so we're not really talking about Bill Walsh's 49ers here. But still, he was in command. He was seeing the field well. He was throwing accurately, and there was a great vibe around him, and then he gets hurt. So then that is the superstar, flawless, wonderful quarterback who needs no more development or anything that people remember. So he arrives at camp this year and starts out really well before they put the pads on. But the Vikings have an absolutely phenomenal defense with Brian Flores, one of the most complex, but also one of the most, veteran, proven, great players. And it's been a bit of a struggle at times for J.J. McCarthy because he's actually not thrown very many footballs in a long time. Think about the last ball he threw in a real game, not a preseason game, was December 2023, I believe. It was the last time he threw an actual football in a game, and then he gets hurt, so he misses out on a full year of development. And I think we're really seeing that with some of the accuracy, and he's talked about it. We keep hearing about working on my touch and layering the ball and things like that. But sometimes with this few reps of actually throwing the ball in full speed, you're just going to throw it into the sand sometimes, or you're just going to dirt a ball sometimes, and especially with the amount of pressure that he's facing. So I think we're going to learn a lot about him. It's only been 2 padded practices. We're going to learn a lot about him in the coming weeks, and I don't think he's going to play a ton of preseason. Kevin O'Connell has never really believed in that. If he does, that would be a red flag for me, actually, if he plays a lot in preseason. Yeah. That would tell me they don't love what they're seeing. But I think that there's probably some people a little nervous in the building. This isn't quite looked as smooth as they want it to. He hasn't really been super sharp, and he's got to take the next step over the next few weeks, I think, for the confidence. But, there's no going back. Sam Howell is their backup quarterback. If he plays, it's over. So this is the path. And so it's not like anybody can say, and I think they did this on purpose, it's not like anybody can say, hey, you got Carson Wentz, you might want to put it, no. You're going to make sure that no one questions this move. Right. Well, but can't Kevin O'Connell make anything work? No, that's the breaking point. Sam Howell is the breaking point, I guess, is what you're telling me. I think it was Nick Mullins when they had to play him a couple of years ago. That was like, okay, whisper all you want. You're going to have to sing pretty loudly to make that work. Right. Whisper all you want. I like it. So the rest of it, obviously Jefferson headlines the skill position players. What about the rest of it here? Aaron Jones in the backfield. Jordan Mason comes over after sort of breaking through last year because of the injury to Christian McCaffrey in San Francisco. What's the rest of the roster? You talked like it's stacked, like it's that good. I think, and sometimes when you cover one team all the time, you get the tunnel vision a little bit, so you have to kind of cross-check yourself. So one of the guys that I like to go to is Mike Clay from ESPN because he ranks every position group in the league, and think he does a great job of that. And I was looking at just his rankings for the Vikings, and I think it was the third best offense if you take away his quarterback ranking. I think the only ones that were better were Philly and Detroit, and I would agree with that. There are very few teams that can make an argument that they are as strong top to bottom on offense as the Vikings. Every single thing that got them beat in those last 2 weeks, they fixed. They spent $17 million on a guard. They drafted a guard in the first round. They got a 32-year-old center who has the thickest, strongest hands of any person I've ever shaken hands with. They got a running back who looks like Sean Alexander out there. Jordan Mason is just this kind of behemoth of a guy. He's got some beast mode to him. He averaged 5 yards a carry last year, and they were able to acquire him in the offseason. So they've really – it's so funny to have a 14-win season and then to make that many acquisitions around, but they really know like that. JJ McCarthy is not Josh Allen. He's not just going to make everybody around him better instantly. He's not just going to run for 800 yards and 14 touchdowns and run over linebackers or something. Like, he's going to need the supporting cast to be as strong as possible. What I'm most curious about is, well, one, Jordan Addison is facing a potential suspension, so we don't know how that's going to go to start the season, and their schedule gets really hard in the middle. So if you miss Addison and don't get a couple of wins there, that kind of thing, and then it could kind of tumble downhill. But aside from that, I mean, this is a really deep and excellent offense that I think finally has a run game for Kevin O'Connell to use. That's been a main criticism of him since he got here, is that he leans on the quarterback. And that's why it's funny, because there's not a lot of camp storylines. There's just one. It's just the quarterback. Everyone else, you kind of know what they are. And it's, can you do the job here? Because if you're even the 11th best quarterback in the league, this team is going to be playing in the divisional round more likely than not.
You mentioned the free agent spending spree that they went on, and 4 of those additions are, at least according to the depth chart I'm looking at, look like starters here. Jonathan Allen, Hargrave on the defensive line, corner Rogers, and then the other corner, Okuda. Is that right? And what sort of upgrades are these players representing to you?
Yeah, no, that is right. I think, I went to the Combine, and I heard over and over again every executive and coach say, well, did you watch the Super Bowl? We're going to draft a defensive tackle, or we're looking for defensive tackle help, or we need interior pressure. And I think that, this is something that the Bills have done pretty well with at times, by drafting defensive tackles and understanding that if you can create interior pressure, there's really no answer for it. There's so few teams that have been able to do it over the years consistently. I don't think it was a mistake that Aaron Donald's Rams were always really good and nasty, because, I mean, it's instant. There's no, sidestepping it, stepping up in the pocket when you can get it. And last year the Vikings were just severely missing interior pressure, actually for a few years. And that was another thing that what the Rams' loss really helped them do was diagnose themselves and look in the mirror and say, we couldn't pressure Matthew Stafford up the middle. And when Matthew Stafford can sit there, he is going to rip you apart. Even if you get some pressure off the edge, he'll just step up in the pocket. Jared Goff, he'll just step up in the pocket and do the same thing. And with the cornerback group, I think that's the one that gets talked about a lot. I wondered if they would go after Jalen Ramsey, considering, Brian Flores' Miami connection. I don't know if they crossed. I think they did cross paths. So, but they're kind of hoping that some guys take the next step. But I think their theory is if you pressure the quarterback on 50% of the plays, that the cornerbacks are going to do pretty well for themselves. But if there is one question about the defense, it's probably that. And it's also that they face the Ravens and they also face the Eagles this year. So can you stop the run? Because last year they had run-stopping defensive tackles, but now they have pass-rushing defensive tackles. But that all kind of feels a little nitpicky when you have a top-to-bottom defense with as much star talent on it as this does.
Matthew Collar from Purple Insider in Minneapolis on the Western Hotline for just another couple of minutes. The division, Matthew, has gotten pretty interesting here. I mean, the Lions still look personnel-wise great, but they did lose both coordinators to head coaching jobs, one of them in division, Ben Johnson in Chicago, Aaron Glenn, of course, off to New York. Like, the Packers have been a certain level of good. I don't know about Super Bowl contender yet, but still a good team. And now the Bears, they got a lot of talent on that offense. If Caleb Williams can, we'll talk about quarterback whisperers here, Ben Johnson, do your thing. It's pretty stacked.
It is, and I keep trying to find different ways to talk about the NFC North because it is so interesting, but also the storylines are just so clear for every team. Did the Detroit Lions miss their shot? Remember, it was 2 years ago after that. Okay, you remember everything, but for the audience, if you folks remember when Dan Campbell said after they lost and they botched that fourth down, when he said, hey, you never know if that was our only chance to get here. And I think when someone like Frank Ragnow, who maybe your audience doesn't know that well, but the center of the Detroit Lions is one of the best players in football, nobody's replacing him. And I think he's been one of the most valuable players for the Detroit Lions. He's the one that sorted out Brian Flores' blitzes over these last couple of years, and I think that's a huge loss. The coordinator thing, there's a good example of something similar with Atlanta when they went to the Super Bowl, and then they hired somebody else, and it was okay, but it wasn't the same. The Eagles hired the wrong guy before they got to Kellen Moore. It wasn't the same. So that is very unclear there, but they're still stacked. And then I think we all sort of know what the Packers are at this point. I think the Packers are probably the most boring team in the NFL. Like, okay, they're going to be good. They're not going to be great. That's it. That's the end of the opinion.
Right.
They just don't have enough superstar talent. Like, they don't have Reggie White and, or James Lofton or something. They just got a bunch of B-plus players that I think, and a B-plus quarterback that will all be okay, competitive, and they'll win 9 games or 10 games, and that will be that. And then there's the total wild card with Chicago. When I see that, stories of Ben Johnson screaming at Caleb Williams and taking him off the field for mistakes, I think, a psycho, just like with, Josh McDaniels or, some of these offensive guys that are great at being in a room and drawing up on a chalkboard something. But then when you're asked to manage people, they turn into Nurse Ratched. So, we'll see on that. I'm really not sure if he's going to be able to handle managing an entire franchise or not. And I've also been kind of on the doubter side of Caleb Williams. I thought everyone called him a generational talent so many times, but that doesn't mean it's actually true. And the guy has flaws, and we'll have to see. But I'm not buying the Bears yet. They got to prove it.
That's a very good point about managing the entire company on Ben Johnson, because I think the way a lot of that, it depends, I guess, on how you're wired, maybe even how, if you played sports, how you were coached and what worked for you. I think a lot of people would read on Twitter accounts of Ben Johnson flipping out at him and pulling him aside and going, "Yeah, tough love, that'll work," but it's the 21st century. That does not always work, So I'm really curious to see how that goes.
Well, I also thought it was really funny because the juxtaposition, so one thing I've been doing, I've been live streaming now because it's 2025, and so I take video to use little videos on my live stream, and one of them had Kevin O'Connell showing Justin Jefferson that he could juggle, and so he's juggling a football and a tennis ball and stuff, and that's on the video. And that's where the Vikings are at with Kevin O'Connell in training camp. And Ben Johnson has just taken a sledgehammer to the helmet of Caleb Williams for missing a read. I'm thinking of, Will Ferrell in one of the movies throwing a chair and saying, "Nobody panic." That's what seems to be happening there. I don't know if it's that. It's so much that no one ever really wanted to be screamed at to be coached. But I also think Caleb specifically has never had somebody who is acting like this, and not everybody can fight through and respond to that. So I don't know how that's going to actually work.
Matthew Collar, author of Football is a Numbers Game. If it hasn't won awards, it did get just positive reviews from everyone who covers the NFL. I know that much just from having eyeballs on a Twitter account. Covers the Vikings, Purple Insider. Just find you on Twitter and find the content. That's the deal.
Yeah, that'll work. If you type in Purple Insider pretty much anywhere. You can see Kevin O'Connell maybe juggle at practice if you watch the live stream.
That sounds great. Sloan's doing great, I see still, right? WNBA, play-by-play. You guys smacked it out of the park moving to Minneapolis when you did, I think.
Absolutely perfect for her and her career for sure, and she's doing Big Ten Network as well. But the Minnesota Lynx, man, the team nobody wants to talk about, best team in the WNBA, so we got them too.
Do they hate Caitlin Clark too? All right, sorry.
Oh my God, don't even start. Don't even start. It's the worst.
All right, Matt. Really great visiting with you. Best to your wife, and thanks a lot for the time, man. We'll hit you up again, I'm sure, once the season gets here.
Yeah, thanks, man. See you later.
That's our dude, Matthew Collar, morning show producer here at WGR. Went to Minneapolis. The company he was working for fired him, and he started his own thing and has never looked back. So doing great out there, and we appreciate his time. And the book is excellent, by the way. Football is a numbers game. You can get details on that again at his Twitter account, appropriately titled at Matthew Collar, Coller. All right. Timeout at hand, 803-0550. You want to hit up anything that Matt and I just talked about, although I don't know if your closet Viking fans are out there. But that division, and this Ben Johnson, I've not really thought about a potential downside to him being as aggressive as he's been with his second-year quarterback, but I think that was a pretty solid take there from Matthew on that end of things. Again, 803-0550 is the number. We'll hit up a timeout here. Mike is away today and through the end of next week. Along with Zach Jones, I am the Bulldog, and you're listening to WGR.
Buffalo Bills back at practice today over at St. John Fisher. Cole Bishop down today with a quad injury, while Alec Anderson, he is week to week after having a minor knee operation. But some good news on the injury front. Tyrell Shavers, Dawson Knox, and Elijah Moore all made the returns to practice, and the team also announced following practice that they have activated Spencer Brown off of the PUP list. Our own Sal Capaccio has more on today up at our website, WGR550.com. Coverage of Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University is brought to you by Figo Car and Joyce, your border attorneys. By Outlet Liquor, when you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. And driven by your Upstate Honda dealers. For great deals on the entire Honda lineup, visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. Preseason football starts tonight, the Hall of Fame game, the Chargers and the Lions in Canton, Ohio. It'll get underway just after 8 o'clock. Trey Lance gets the start for the Chargers, while for the Lions, all signs point to Kyle Allen. And then the MLB trade deadline wrapping up in just about a half hour, a little under actually. It'll end at 6. Carlos Correa on his way back to Houston from Minnesota. The Blue Jays acquire former Cy Young winner Shane Bieber from Cleveland. The Yankees go to the bullpen. They get David Bednar from Pittsburgh and Jake Bird from Colorado, while the Mets add to their outfield Cedric Mullins from Baltimore. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
No, for real. I remembered. I got to do the contest here. I know. Just what a moment. Right now, we want you to be caller 5 and 6. We got a couple of pairs of tickets for you. 716-221-4947 is the number to get yourself a pair of tickets to the Buffalo Bison's home game coming up this Saturday, 6:35 p.m., celebrating Women in Sports Night. Plus, there will be a post-game drone show. Callers 5 and 6 are going to get those pair of Bison's tickets to go enjoy that Saturday evening. If you don't win the tickets and are interested in purchasing your own, you can visit milb.com for tickets to buy. Or, listen tomorrow. Maybe we'll give away more. I don't know how that works. Maybe. Anyway, glad to have you with us here on this Thursday. Mike Schopp is away for the entirety of next week as well. So we got time to stretch out and hang out and, get to know each other. And that sounds stupid. 803-0550 is the phone number if you would like to get in on any part of the conversation that we've been having today. A lot of football content, obviously. Hall of Fame game goes tonight. No, I'm not going to pick the game. But we've got the Lions. Oh, gosh, excuse me. The Lions and the Chargers. And yesterday at this time, I think we were talking about the potential of this game to be a little more interesting because of who we thought the starting quarterbacks were going to be. I think I only learned today that the Lions are ruining our fun. Nothing against Kyle Allen, but I liked Hendon Hooker in college a lot at Tennessee. I don't recall seeing him at Virginia Tech, which is where he was before he went to Tennessee. I was kind of into him. Back when we still weren't sure if Jared Goff... I'm being kind to myself with when we weren't sure. I wasn't sure Jared Goff was really going to work out long-term in Detroit, and they drafted Hendon Hooker. I thought, that's a guy that could develop. I like that guy, right? Just kind of crushed on him in college, just good runner, not great, good, 600 yards maybe peak rushing when he was at Tennessee, but liked the guy as a prospect and was excited to see him play starting this game against Trey Lance for the Chargers. And there's been no change on the Charger end of things. We expect Trey Lance to start the game, but I heard Kyle Allen in the update just now, and I had heard that earlier today. And I'm bummed out. I mean, probably no matter what was going to happen, even with Hendon Hooker playing, I'm someone who will get excited. Oh, it's 8 o'clock. All right, it's time. Football. Oh, 8:15. What am I doing? Why am I? Is there anything on Netflix? Maybe I should finish watching Quarterback. Just get me out of here. It's a preseason ritual for me to be excited. Because it's the guy. It's Tirico and Collinsworth. It's the show, right? Here it is. Like, oh, no, not really. But I liked Lance and Hooker being the starters. I thought that would keep my attention. I don't know that I'm going to be as heavily invested in Kyle Allen. But, we'll see. Maybe Hooker will be playing in the second half when Brent Musburger gets to be in the booth. I heard Zach earlier this morning talking about that being something that could keep him watching this game a little bit longer, because being the college football fanatic that he is, hearing and seeing Brent Musburger in an NFL booth, albeit in the preseason, will be pretty cool. Musburger is a part of this class going in to the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame game itself coming around, and of course induction weekend is this weekend. I think Saturday is the ceremony. It kind of got me thinking about the Bills and the Hall of Fame. And we had a great run of people representing the Bills from the teams in the 90s. And I don't know, the Tasker thing is always going to be out there. And I would say I'm far from indifferent about it. I just don't know how optimistic you'd want to get about it. It's been so many years. I guess it's possible maybe one of these years it just he makes it through, and I would love that for him if he got it. But I don't know if there's anyone else really left. Darryl Talley, that's another one that I just don't hear any real, outside of super fans of the Bills, all right, talking about Talley as a candidate. It doesn't mean it couldn't happen, but at this point, I would say I would be pleasantly surprised if he, got momentum behind him for eventual induction into Canton. Not at the top of the class, So I don't know. The thing about it is, if they win one or more, then everything gets elevated, right? I think if the Bills were to win the Super Bowl this year, and then, I don't want to get greedy and go back to back, right? But if they win more than one here, say before Dawkins is done playing, which is certainly conceivable with the talent they've got and the quarterback that they've got, then I think Dawkins, and he's here the whole time. He's Josh Allen's blindside protector, and they win one, and then maybe win another one. Then I think you might get somewhere. He's a popular enough player. I think a good person within the league. I think he's a popular player because of his personality. But it's one of these guys. I think that they need to win maybe more than one for him to elevate to that status. Then after him, I don't even know. The current team, right? I saw someone. No, it wasn't that. Sorry, I'm distracting myself. The next guy I thought of, maybe I was just too focused on the offensive line, but honestly, I'm hearing some talk about Osiris Torrance, sort of highest paid guard in the league type potential, or very much a top of the market rate contract eventually. And that's another one. If they do some winning here and he gets that notoriety that comes with deserving to be paid like that, then, but we're 2 years in. It's just so early. But honestly, the rest of it, I just don't even think there's a candidate. If Trey White never gets hurt, and mixes in the odd all pro here or there, then there's a candidate. But that didn't happen. He got hurt. He eventually got cut. Now he's back. Like, that's a tough one. I don't think there's anyone else. I might be missing someone. This might be something we can talk about more in the future, even tomorrow after the Hall of Fame game. Another timeout is already at hand. I am the Bulldog. This is WGR. Not so fast. More of Schopp and the Bulldog coming up. More of me not being able to tell time. I know I say this all the time when I'm in here by myself, but I did it to myself again. We're already up against a break. Lots more football content coming your way in the 6 o'clock hour, so please do hang in there for that. I am the Bulldog. Thanks for listening to WGR.